Hello, this is a video describing Team Bitmaster's project and prototype testing results. Our team members are Sam, Isaac, Brianna, and myself, Emily. Our project is the Scheduler 0002 and is an interactive scheduling web application which is used by individual or groups to easily plan and organize activities and set reminders. We intended this project to be useful for a wide range of people. For prototyping, we initially used Balsamiq and later transitioned to Kinotopia. We will start with a demo of our project. Then we will explain our evaluation of our results from testing, go over some design changes based on those results, and end with a brief conclusion.
Alright, so this is our high fidelity prototype of our application. Right here at the beginning we got a login screen, and you can throw in your username and your password there. We've got options for forgetting your password, remembering your user information, and creating a new account. But for this we're just going to log into this example account that we've got. And that brings us right to the main page of the calendar application, Scheduler 0002. And from here we can do one of three things. Right now we can add an event. Just click that. You can throw in an event title and then the start time and the end time of the event. You can choose whether or not you want the event to repeat. So we'll just click on here and have it repeat monthly and then confirm that. From here, you can throw on an event location and a color for the event to show up on the calendar so you can distinguish it from other events that are going on. And then you can choose if you want a notification to pop up before the event happens on your phone or whatever device you've got. After we confirm that, that'll show up right on the calendar right here. And it'll just go with all the other things that you've got on there. Really what we wanted to focus on for this project and this application was the ability for users to compare schedules with other users. So if you click on the compare schedules button we had over there on the side, it'll bring you to this screen, and this just shows your current weekly schedule and what you have going on those on specific days. And then over here you've got a list of different groups of people. So friends, family, coworkers, whatever groups you want to add to that, you can add in there, and then you can select people from that menu and compare your schedule with them. So if we go over to coworkers and compare with Robert over here, it'll change to this screen. And then the blue still represents our current schedule, the green represents Robert's current schedule and then in his activities, and the red is times when our activities overlap throughout the week. The idea here was just so users could get a better idea of how to plan their week around other people's events in their lives and get a better idea of doing that. And then the last thing we have going on right now is the ability to make a task list for an event. So what you can do is add on a task. So you want to read chapter 22, and then you want to also work on a phase for a project you're working on. You can add that onto an event. If you just click a link to event, and you've got a whole list of all the events that we've got going on in the calendar app right there. So if we want to link it to this event right here, just click that, and then we just click OK, and that is linked up to this event right here. So we've got a list of tasks that we want to achieve for that event. But other than that, that's what we got for our high fidelity prototype.
The results that I'm going to share with you are based on a survey given to volunteer users after an interaction with our high-fidelity prototype. Each question was based on a 10-point scale from 1 to 10. These results were then compared to our prior team goals. One question asked the users to rate their overall reaction to the software, 1 being difficult, 10 being easy. On average, the rating was 6. Our goal was a 7. Another question asked the users to rate their overall reaction to the software, 1 being frustrating, 10 being satisfying. The average rating was a 7 and our goal was a 6. Another question asked the user to rate the organization of information on the screen, 1 being confusing, 10 being very clear. The average rating was an 8. Our goal was also an 8. Another question asked the users to rate their finding of information, 1 being hard, 10 being easy. The average rating was a 7. Our goal was an 8. Another question asks the users to rate tasks being performed in a straightforward manner, 1 being never, 10 being always. The average rating was a 6. Our goal was an 8. Another question asked the users to rate the use of terms throughout the system, 1 being inconsistent, 10 being consistent. The average rating was a 7. Our goal was a 9.
So based on our evaluation results, we decided that we needed to make some design changes on specific parts of our application. So if we start here on the home screen, you can see it's going to remain the same. There were little to no complaints, and people were able to navigate to the tasks they needed to perform with little to no errors. Most of the errors that came in were when users were actually performing events that they were asked to do and not so getting to the event itself. So adding an event. No one really had any major errors in adding an event. A couple of people had some small questions, but mostly everyone went through and added an event with no problem. The small suggestions that we had when people were performing the tasks were kind of based on our notification that we had before, which is slightly confusing people because they might not understand that a notification is going to show them, or when it's going to remind them that they have this event coming up. So changing that to a reminder makes it a little more clear, and that's a little more standard for calendar apps that are across the board. So comparing schedules, another place where we had to make some design changes. Users had no problem getting to comparing schedules and selecting who they wanted to compare schedules with. Most of the problem came in when they were actually looking at the compared schedules. They were able to figure it out, but it took them a little longer than we would like. Before, we had the user we're comparing with schedule in green, ours in blue, and then overlapping events in red. By changing the user we're comparing with color to orange and then highlighting free areas in green makes it a bit clearer on when you are able to meet with who you're comparing with. Just makes it just a little easier on the eyes and quicker. We would like to make it look a little nicer if we were to move on with this application, but there were some restrictions with what we're using to create our high fidelity prototype to make that look a little nicer. The last thing that we needed to make some design changes on based on our evaluation results was our task list in adding tasks. A lot of people when doing this were slightly confused by the plus button up in the task list, as well as linking it to an event and what they were actually doing on the screen. There wasn't a lot of text, so it was hard. I think by adding just task name to the top so you know what task you're creating, and then you can click OK and you can choose it to link it for today. You can then choose your date or link it to a specific event. It just clears up a little bit of the confusion that users were having. Most users performed this with no problem, but the users that did have problems with it had a lot of problems coming through this. So I'm thinking this will clear it up and make it a little bit easier for everyone who is adding a task to our application.
To conclude our presentation, I will briefly go over the main points that we covered. The users can complete a total of 4 tasks: logging in, creating an event, comparing schedules, and creating a task list. After testing our prototypes and evaluating the survey results, we found that we were just below our goals. Based on this, we had very minor design changes to potentially better our user satisfaction and ease of use. Thank you for watching our video.